Hey everyone, how you doing? Nice to see you. Welcome to Community Leadership Course for Veterans, or CLCV for short, virtual info coffee session. And to those of you who may be joining us on Facebook Live or here on the internet after the fact, I have just a couple important notes to say, and then we'll get started. So another reminder to our Zoom participants, this info session is being streamed to the Leadership Pittsburgh Inc. Facebook page. By joining the meeting, you consent to being recorded. Following today's info session, the Facebook Live video will remain available on our Facebook page as a resource to reference at any point in the future. And the LPI team is here monitoring Facebook. So if you have any questions along the way, please feel free to dump them into the comments for us to address. We'll call out that the Facebook stream is on a 20-second delay for our Zoom modality. So please keep in mind that please keep that in mind when you're commenting or submitting questions, okay? Great. So we're here today to talk about Leadership Pittsburgh Inc.'s Community Leadership Course for Veterans, or CLCV. And along for the ride, we have two of our wonderful graduates here with us. We've got Sean Ray, who's with CLCV 1, our inaugural cohort. Sean is lead cybersecurity program manager with ANSYS, and I'm going to give him a couple minutes to sort of fully intro himself soon. Also joining us is James Martin. Hi, James. James is a CLCV 7 graduate. He's our most recent cohort. He is he's with Wounded Warrior Project. He's their gaming and engagement specialist for alumni programs. So thanks to you both for being here today. We might have a couple guests here who might show their face or might ask some questions, people who are interested in the program. But I just want to say welcome and thanks for being here today. So I want to share a little bit about Leadership Pittsburgh Inc. and CLCV just to get us started. And then I'll pass it over to Sean and to James for them to share a little bit, introduce themselves, maybe give a little bit of background, and then we'll go from there. Does that sound good, James? Sound good, Sean? Yeah, good to go. Okay, so I'm Marie Hamblett. I'm the program director with Leadership Pittsburgh Inc. We have been around for about 37 years. We're a small nonprofit. Our mission is to strengthen regional leadership through programs, partnerships, and connections. And we do that primarily through several different community engagement or civic leadership programs. Our flagship program, which is the one that many people know us, is Leadership Pittsburgh, or LP. It's a 10-month program geared toward established leaders and designed like an MBA in community leadership. Our Leadership Development Initiative, or LDI, is a 9-month program that's geared towards top emerging talent within organizations, sort of young professionals, emerging leaders, if you will. And then there's our Community Leadership Course for Veterans, or CLCV, which is aimed at leveraging the skills and experiences of post 9/11 veterans by exposing them to new leadership networks and opportunities for service here within Southwestern Pennsylvania. So CLCV participants have the opportunity to meet with regional business and community leaders, establish a greater understanding of the regional business and nonprofit issues and trends here in our region. They get to utilize their leadership skills to accomplish community impact project for local nonprofit organization. And so essentially CLCV is, it's a vehicle for participants to sort of increase their knowledge about our community, to sharpen and deploy existing leadership skills that they already have for service in our community, to open doors that will expand and diversify their network, to interact in meaningful ways with other veterans, and to really heighten their civic involvement. So we are currently recruiting for the 8th cohort of CLCV 8, or excuse me, 8th cohort of CLCV, which we'll refer to as CLCV 8. And application deadline is Friday, April 30th, so it's coming up, but there's still time to apply and still time to get your applications in. The course itself will run from July to November. Kickoff is July 13th. So, so again, to anyone joining us in FD Lot, please feel free to ask any questions. And then I'm going to just turn it over to our graduates. So maybe Sean, you can go first. Maybe tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, military branch, maybe role in the service, how long you've served. Your CLCV class, I think, is up there, CLCV 1, what you're doing now. And then after you do that, then we'll move over to James.
Sounds good, Marie. Thank you. And thank you for everybody for joining in this today. As you mentioned, my name is Sean Ray, CLCV1, currently lead cybersecurity program manager at ANSYS. I joined the military right out of high school. So I enlisted right out of high school. And then several years later went the commissioned officer route. I'm actually still serving. I'm in the Pennsylvania Army National Guard. I've been serving for almost 22 years now. And I look back at all the opportunities that CLCV has provided. And I would absolutely say that I'm here today because of the program. I'm actually a Colorado native, so I'm a non-Pittsburgh native, very unfamiliar with the city when my wife and I relocated here after active duty. Spent a few years teaching, and then after that was reactivated by the National Guard. And through the Guard, I was basically command directed in this program. So it wasn't necessarily a voluntary application, but I'm very grateful to the commander that did refer me to this. And it's opened so many opportunities. And I look forward to everybody's questions today, answering them and providing as much information as much as we can as being graduates of the program and how it's benefited not just the two of us here on the call, but many CLCV graduates as well.
That's great. That's great. So James, you want to take a crack at it, introduce yourself, where you're from, military branch, role in the service, how long you served, your CLCV class?
So my name is James Martin. Thank you for having me today. I really appreciate it. I'm one of the cohorts from CLV7. Are probably the greatest online class you'll ever have. And I'm actually a Beaver County native, so born and raised right here in the region. I went to the Marine Corps in 2000 and was medically retired in 2015 because of injuries of time in service. And whenever I got back, the drive to want to do more was there, but the transition was hard. So I didn't quite know where to go, didn't quite know how to move. I just knew I wanted to do something and that my life wasn't over yet. So I decided that school was the best route for me and ended up enrolling at Robert Morris University, where I met the likes of many, many gentlemen and young ladies that are moving and shaking and trying to do the best they can inside the community. One of those being David Osman. And while being there, he knew that I had been trying to do something more. I'd been volunteering with organizations like the Veteran Breakfast Club, Wounded Warrior Project as often as I could. And he was like, if you really want to understand how to do this better, you're going to need something more than yourself. And you have the drive to do it, but you don't have all the knowledge. You need to go to this class. You need to take the time. I don't care how painful, I don't care what you have to give, but the amount of information you will get from there will make complete sense in the parts of when they tell you that your leadership from the military carries over. You just don't know how yet, or you don't have the right network yet to make what you want a reality. So go here, invest the time, because they're going to invest it in you. And whenever it comes back, it's going to come back tenfold. And I am really greatly appreciative of every opportunity, every conversation, every after class session from this, because you don't really know. You don't know what you don't know until you're in the room and you go, oh, these are what my other veterans are out here doing. So that ability to broaden your circle and your network and go, oh, these people are moving and shaking, and these are how your soft skills and your leadership skills can transform and turn something into something so tangible and beautiful. And it's all because of the work done here, and I'm forever grateful.
Wow, I'm blown away. What a testament. That's wonderful, James. Thanks so much for that. Appreciate that. Yeah, so I had the opportunity. So I came into Leadership Pittsburgh Inc. around 2015. So I think CLCV 2 was kind of happening. So I met Sean Ray after the fact, right? So I wasn't around when he came in. And then I met James just probably a little bit before applications were due for CLCV 7 at one of our functions that we had. But it's been wonderful to get to know both of you over the years, and I look forward to more years getting to know you, James. So how did the program really help to shape your opinion or views of Pittsburgh? So was that sort of a benefit of it? Sean, you want to?
For me, absolutely. I mean, again, it was a non-Pittsburgh native, and when we relocated west from Pennsylvania from Colorado, we moved about an hour east of the city, so we really didn't travel in the city, didn't really have any engagement. And you know, I always like to tell everybody that you know, I have a selfish interest in this program because there's a lot of drive, and the exposure that it gives CLCV members to what everything that Pittsburgh has to offer is incredible. And I know that we'll talk a little bit more about you know, some of the nonprofit landscape, community service, but really, you know, I'm looking at, you know, where we live, and I think it's one of those great programs that can get people involved, and it gives us an opportunity to make Pittsburgh even better. And my selfish interest in all this is that I have two, you know, middle-aged daughters that I hope one day when they go off to college that they want to come back to Pittsburgh and call it their home, so that I can have grandkids nearby. So anything I can do to advocate for people to support the community and make Pittsburgh a better place, happy to endorse and support that.
That's great. That's great. James, anything you want to add?
I'm definitely with him on all of that. And then being a local and seeing how, you know, you watch things happen in the news, you understand organizations or companies are making these things happening. You understand that there are nonprofits or people trying to make this, not just the city of Pittsburgh, but the region so much better. And you don't realize how many of our people that served are in those trenches making this happen, and looking for others like us that have this drive to make our place so much better, with, you know, our area having so many veterans in this space, but maybe not knowing quite where to go or who to turn to. You find yourself kind of lost in the sauce and just seeing things happen and going, I wonder how this happened. And it's not until, again, your circle becomes a little bit bigger and you find people that share your drive, you know, your Crystal McFadden's, Lauren Del Ritchie's, you know, when you find those people that's like, oh, let me hold on to your coattail, please show me your ways, because I want to do. And whenever you get to that ability and you sit at the table and you find out that there's this wealth of information and people that are there for you that you can either go with or even go on your own path to make things happen, it's so much more powerful, because you are systematically, through whatever action, doing the best you can to make your home better. And
yeah,
I love it.
That's great. That's great. So I often say that for CLCV, but really for all of our programs, that you're going to get something out of it, regardless if you've lived in this region all of your life, or, as Sean said, is sort of a transplant coming in. You're going to get something out of it. It's going to make connections and sort of connect dots for you, like James was saying, sort of those ahas, like how are things happening behind the scenes and things that are going on in our community. So I always say that, you know, it doesn't matter if you've been here your entire life or if you're new to the region, there is something for you in the CLCV program and all of our programs. So what type of veteran do you think would benefit most from CLCV? And I was going to do a shout out. I was going to say that our president and CEO, Aradhna Oliphant, has joined us. So please feel free to jump in, Aradhna, and I think you're muted.
Well, Marie, maybe you muted me because you didn't want me to speak, but
oh no, I'm not in control of this.
But maybe it was Sean Ray or maybe it was James Martin. I don't know. I'm just popping in here to say hello and experience the first talk show that Marie is host. That I have seen her host.
Gosh, pressure now. It's a talk show.
Yeah, no, I'm going to peel away, but I just did want to say hello to our alums and to you, Maria. I haven't seen you since this morning, so this
know.
is cool. This is cool. How are you doing,
This is
James? Do you
great.
miss us?
I'm fine. Good morning. Good afternoon, actually. How are you?
I'm okay, and I'll be better now that I've seen the both of you. I was communicating with Sean last evening, and Sean, the only reason I know that you were doing this, I mean, not that I shouldn't have, whatever, it had slipped my mind that Marie was hosting her talk show today. Was because Chrissy on our team mentioned it at another meeting, because I was saying to the office managing partner of JLL, who's a veteran himself, oh, you have to meet Sean Ray. I'm surprised you don't know Sean Ray already. So you'll be getting an email. So Marie, you were just talking about the connecting the dots and people knowing, I mean, so what just happened for anyone who's listening to your talk show, Marie, that what just happened this morning, just a few minutes ago, is how
Well, make it even funnier. So I actually wanted to build off of what James said when he was talking about, the CLCD partners that went through and making some of those connections. And he mentioned, shoot, I just dropped the name. Who'd you just say, James?
Crystal.
Crystal.
Lauren,
Crystal
yeah.
McFadden. So I literally had to drop the call with PVEC early to come over here, and Crystal was on that call. So, James, you just graduated your cohort, and you've got your network, and you're reaching out, and there's been a lot of connections made to people within the city, but you're going to continue to build these veteran connections, and I've seen all of them. So essentially 120 plus veterans that I've seen met in some way, shape, or form through participating, as Marie mentioned early on, the introductory sessions, the graduations. Anytime there's free booze involved, I'm absolutely there. But it's you build that network, and it's great to see all of these people that are similarly minded in the sense that they want to go out and do more for the community, which is what I spoke to. One of the things that really drew me into it. You continue to build that, and it's leveraging those partners and bring it all together to again, to make this a better community. So. And how we leverage our leadership skill sets to go and build, even more with that into the community.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And the skill sets that you all bring, and the passion and the values, it's just so needed. It's so needed in our country, leave alone our region, that thinking of beyond oneself, thinking about what are we doing for someone else or something else or some other purpose. So yeah, I'm grateful that you're in my circle. I've learned a lot and continue to learn a lot. One of these days, James is even going to show me how to do some gaming that my own children couldn't teach me. Not that you're my child, but yeah, I mean, jokes apart, but the spirit of service really shines through.
Yeah.
Well, Marie, I think I'm going to peel away with your permission now that
Absolutely. No, it's so nice for you to drop in. So nice for you to pop in. Love seeing you.
I came to see my alums, not you.
No, I know. And I'm cracking up that you're calling it my talk show. So, I love this. Thanks for dropping in.
Thank you so much. Bye, you all.
Bye, Rhonda.
Bye-bye. Be well.
Bye. That's great. Okay. Love that she joined in. Okay. So both of you had your own reasons for sort of applying to CLCV. And so maybe you had some doubts, right? When you were applying, thinking about, what am I signing myself up for? I've heard that from different people before. Like, what am I actually signing myself up for? So what type of veteran do you think would benefit most from CLCV? For somebody who's out there thinking about applying, what type of veteran? I mean, obviously it's a post 9/11 program. The requirement, so to speak, is pretty broad. It's sort of post 9/11, E3 and above. Someone who's looking to sort of get more involved in the community, or perhaps is involved in the community like James, but looking to connect some of those dots. Anything that either Sean or James you want to add to that?
You want to go first?
Sure. So I think the type of veteran that will benefit most from CLCV would be.
Sean or James, you want to add to that?
Uh-oh. There I go. That if you have a desire to want to do, if you come out and if there's something that you see and it really genuinely, and that I think that was the beauty of the class, is that if you have a want to do, and it doesn't matter whether it's a profit, nonprofit, government, whatever it is, if you have the heart, the drive, the will to do something more, then this is where you need to be. I'm still shocked at some of the people that we had spoken to or that came to speak to our class, because it was a rainbow coalition of different enterprises or different businesses or nonprofits or government. It didn't matter. All you had to have was a want to do something more, and to take that and then be able to hone it. It's even better when you know what you want to do and you just don't have the knowledge, the network, whatever it is. Then definitely that's going to steel sharpens steel approach to it. But just have the want to do something more, the want to give back, that give of service.
That's really great.
You're in a perfect place.
I completely agree with everything you just said, James. I think that's the biggest part of it. I think that's a differentiator, because really, I think any and all veterans could benefit from this program, especially as you mentioned, they're looking at getting into the government sector, the private, the nonprofit, philanthropic, any sector that they're interested would benefit them. But a differentiator is those that want to continue to serve. And it's not just serving other veterans programs. That's part of it, right? We work a lot with our veterans, carrying them forward, but it's also how do we take and give back all of the things we've learned, like the leadership skills. How do we invest that into the community? Make those connections to make it a better place. So any and all should consider and apply. But for those that really want to do more or continue to serve in a capacity, this is the ideal program that gives them the appropriate exposure to make things happen, as well as the connections and network to find ways to solve really complex problems.
Yeah. So I would add to that. We often say that, this is a community leadership course for veterans, and it's very specific to community leadership because, we'll tell people who are applying, you have all the leadership skills. You've been through you've been in the military. They teach you all the leadership skills that you're going to need. And this is sort of more about how do we then leverage those skills and those leadership skills for the benefit of the community? And how do you take the skills that you have and sort of take them out into the community, deciding where you want to put your efforts and how you want to do that? And CLCV provides you with sort of the background of how are all things connected, and to expose you to new networks, to things that maybe you didn't know about, and help you to figure out how to leverage your skills that you've gained through your service, and then deploy them into the community. That's what I often say to folks who are thinking about applying, for sure.
And I know if we're still on the same question, not just to talk in generalities, but I can talk from the personal benefit side of it for that giving back to the community. So as part of the program, you'll be exposed to various nonprofits. There'll be a project associated with working with them and how you can leverage your skill sets to do something meaningful for one of those groups. Within the first few cohorts, we were paired with a nonprofit board directly after graduating the CLCV program. So I was fortunate enough to go serve on the board of Sustainable Pittsburgh, and I was there for 6 years. I completed 2 full terms, serving as vice chair and as chair of the board, which was incredibly impactful. And this program gives you the skill sets to be able to do that, the exposure, the tools, teaching about service on nonprofit boards and whatnot. And then after that, it wasn't that, it just ended there. Before I was even off the board, I was recruited to serve for another program, which I was just alluding to, which is It's PVEC, the Pittsburgh Veteran Employer Coalition.
Mhm.
And so I've recently taken over as co-chair there, and finding a way now to connect veterans with meaningful employment, their families, but then helping employers find veteran talent and getting them into those right roles that companies always say that they're looking for. So that's that's the anecdotal side, at least from my view, but it extends so much beyond just those two instances. It's working with others, and part of that network, as James was mentioning, and helping them connect with other boards to serve on. Some of my fellow coworkers who were on CLCV 7 or 6 went through the boards work program where they learned a lot of this, and they're in those board internship programs, getting the exposure to that board service and finding it very meaningful and wanting to figure out still how we can continue to do more. So it's a tremendous experience. It's a tremendous opportunity. And it really is, you can make anything you want out of it. All the tools and resources and people are all there. It's, as James said, having a passion, wanting to serve, you can run amok with it. You can absolutely go down any path you want. So again, very impactful program.
That's great. That's great. Thanks, Sean. Thanks for that, and for all the work that you've been doing in the community, since you graduated, and will continue to do. Thanks so much, and for being a champion for CLCV. We appreciate it, and you too, James. Thanks so much. So, I have a question for both of you in terms of people who are out there who might be thinking about applying. Because some of the questions that I'm trying to think of, some of the questions that maybe I get from folks when we meet or when I meet for coffee or when they're asking me, sometimes it's like, well, I've only been out, I've only been out a year, or I've been out 10 years, or, I know it's E3 and above, but what's sort of the general range? Like, what would you say to folks who are thinking about it from that point of view? Like, how long they've been out? Does it matter? Is it better? What would you think about that?
I don't think that how much time you spent out matters. I think it's what you want to do. It's that drive and that want to do service wise. You can come out and be out 3 months later and say, I want to do something. I want to do something to help out kids or communities or, downtrodden communities, whatever it is, whatever your thing is. And just because you have that drive, it doesn't matter whether it happens a month after you get out or 10 years after. That drive is what's going to be it's going to be your force. It's kind of like the reason that you joined you put on the uniform in the first place. You got to want to serve. You got to want to do something for more than just yourself. So once you have that itch and it happens, it doesn't matter whether you're an E1 or an 05. It doesn't matter whether you had a command of a small lunchbox or you commanded over 100, 1,000 of troops. It doesn't matter. That point of wanting to do more and to serve something greater than yourself will be that maker or breaker, and it will be that force that brings you here.
That's great. That's great.
I try to pull separating veterans right out of the service, officer enlisted, and put them directly in this program, especially if Pittsburgh is new to them. But I've also worked with those that have been out for 10 to 15 years. And exactly to James' point, if you want to continue to serve and do that, then the opportunity doesn't change, or the value that you are going to give back to the organization or the community doesn't change as well, as long as you have that fire in your belly, the passion to do more for the community.
Yeah, for sure. I often tell folks that depending on where you are, like, you're always going to get a nugget, right? Depending on where you are in your, whether you've gone back to school or whether you're working in a job that you're going to be in for the next 20 years, or you're working in a job and you're thinking about what's next, that there's something there for you. There's something that will resonate with you and that will sit with you and that will benefit you. And so sometimes people will ask me, well, what am I going to get out of it? And I said, it's really going to be personal to you in many ways. Like I can talk about all the advantages and the benefits and, and everything that both James and Sean have been saying as we've been here. We can talk about those benefits till we're blue in the face, but really it's going to be sort of specific to you. Like, where are you? Where are you in your transition? I hear a lot about transition being hard. There's research on it. It's difficult. And so I think that going through the CLCV program aids in that transition, regardless of really where you are. Like, even if you're, as you said, Sean, right out of the service, or even if you're 5 years, 6 years, I feel like it benefits in those ways.
Yeah, but you hit on something that I really wanted to jump on was, you don't have to go in knowing exactly what you want to do and knowing exactly where you want to land. So, again, my unique experience, I was commanded, directed to go. So I was kind of hesitant at first, but I did go, part of the Leadership Pittsburgh motto is, opening eyes, right? Minds, doors, and whatnot.
Right.
And I really went in with a completely open mind and just literally soaked it all in like a sponge, absorbed it. And, as I mentioned, I'm about an hour east outside of the city. So I had really no reason to be down there. Well, through the program and the exposure that James was talking on earlier on, you get to meet a lot of these, whether it's the CEOs or top leadership of the really large corporations down in Pittsburgh, or the nonprofit leaders, or, you meet with the different philanthropies. And had it not been for this program, I wouldn't have had interest to want to be down in the city of Pittsburgh because I had a stable job back out here out east. But it lured me into the city, and fell in love with it. And again, I want my daughters to stay near and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I ended up through this program transitioning, wanting to take a different career path, and I found an excellent opportunity at PNC Bank, which is I went again, didn't know what I was looking for. Applied for a bunch of different things, and I landed something that really translated very well to the military skill set. So I led the crisis management team there at the bank for about 2.5 years. That opened up other opportunities, went into risk management and then IT change management. But that whole time, as James and I were talking about, that network continues to build and grow, and others help you, you help others. And it's very, again, beneficial from that sense. But you don't have to know exactly where you want to give back. You don't have to know that targeted group. If you do, great, go do it. But if you don't, come into this program willing to be exposed to a lot of things that you are probably unfamiliar with, and maybe some of them making you uncomfortable. But at least it opens up so many doors and opportunities that you really can, choose your own adventure and decide where you want to go in life and how you want to continue to serve and give back.
I love that. Choose your own adventure. Yeah, for sure.
I love those books.
I love that. I love that. I do too. I do too. And I go back to what, it's what James said earlier. I think he said, you don't know what you don't know. Right. And so if you apply, and if you come in with an open mind, and as you said, Sean, kind of soak it up with a sponge, I think that you'll find something. And I'm curious, so James just graduated from our recent cohort, CLCV 7, and that was an all virtual platform, and Sean was CLCV 1. And so I have a couple questions going in my mind are so sometimes I feel like there are maybe immediate impacts to you, right? And then Sean, you've been out now 7 years, right? From CLCV, 7 years out, and the impact it's continuing to make on you. So it builds, right? That impact builds. You have sort of the immediate impact, like after you get out, what you've experienced with your cohort members, the people that you've met, the people who've come in to speak, as James mentioned, the people that you've sort of interacted with and engaged with, and then it builds over time. Sean, you went onto a board, and then president of the board, and then your opportunity at PNC, and you're with ANSYS now, and so it builds. It doesn't just stop. It doesn't just you don't just graduate and then it just stops. You leverage the people that you meet, you leverage the connections that you make, you leverage the things that you've heard, and then it just builds. That's what I would say. James, anything you'd want to add to that at all?
No, I'm in complete agreement that, that it just keeps on growing and building. And to credit of the organization and of the class itself, that, you know, the network keeps on growing because, you know, once one person tells the next and then they join it and then they bring their network in, and then the next class comes in, the next class comes in, and all the while we're all trying to move and do things. And because of the networks that we have created inside of these classes and the classes that came after us, that we keep putting each other on to certain things and different levels of understanding, that you come into CLCV 8, man, those, when the doors just keep on opening and the bar just keeps on rising, because you have other people that go, hey man, I understand. And that was an incredible class. And oh, now you have this solidified understanding of what you want to go into. Oh, this is where you want to come play? Hey, come here, let me talk to you. Let me show you these things. Let me show you these things that they didn't show you in the class, because I'm actually doing it over here. That it's amazing the wealth of knowledge that you will gain, not even just from the class, but even after it's long said and done, as Sean has said. You know, his level of understanding from, I just want to help and I have this willingness to do and to serve, has grown into years upon years on a board, coming to the city and helping to do better things for not just the city, but the region. That speaks testaments and volumes to what we're trying to do here.
One of the things, Marie, that you said early on too, and I don't know if people picked it up when you were introducing the other programs. So, you know, the network is bigger than just CLCV and the cohorts that we're talking about. It is connecting with graduates from the LDI program and graduates from the Leadership Pittsburgh program. So I know that in those meetings also, you also introduced them to this program. So it's amazing how many people you bump into through these networks that may not be military or CLCV graduates with foreign military backgrounds, but they went through the LDI program or they went through the Leadership Pittsburgh program. And there's still that bond with those other programs that, again, it opens up additional doors and opportunities. And those are those great networks that, you know, you can continue to leverage.
No, it's a really good point. It's a really good point. It's a really good point. We always try to introduce sort of the CLCV program to LDI, LP. There's an element of the CLCV program that we refer to sort of as community connectors, and we pair up a CLCV participant with a community connector, which is essentially an established sort of senior leader here in the region. And some are veterans, some are not, some have served, some have not. And some are graduates and some are not, actually. You know, some are graduates of ours, but some are folks who are just engaged with us and have who are real supporters of us. And so so that would be an element as well of the CLCV program that I don't think we've mentioned, but we do that. And so, you know, just and the purpose is sort of to expand networks, but expand exposure. And it's not necessarily to pair somebody up with somebody who's in the same industry that you're in, or maybe you're in right now. The purpose is really to maybe connect you with someone who's in a completely different industry or different sphere than you are, to expand your sort of awareness of what and who this Pittsburgh region is and what we do and what's out there, right? Again, going back to something that James said, you don't know what you don't know, right? So it's really about coming in with that open mind. And as you said, Sean, our tagline is open eyes, minds, and doors. And so it's really about sort of opening that up for everybody to really look at this region and connect within this region. So, yeah. So I would just say out loud that if you've joined us, or if you're joining us, or if you're still hanging out with us, I'm Marie Hamblet. I'm the program director with Leadership Pittsburgh, Inc. We're talking about our community leadership course for veterans. We're currently recruiting for CLCV 8. Application deadline is April 30th. There's still time to apply. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me. You can reach out directly. You can go to our website, www.lpinc.org. Applications can be accessed there. There's information that can be accessed there. You can always reach out directly to me. I'm happy to do one-on-ones with folks. We have I think a couple more coffees scheduled. So happy to join, or hope you'll join us if you have questions, but definitely reach out to me one-on-one. Happy to talk to you one-on-one. We've got graduates like Sean and James who are also happy to connect with you, because of course, it's one thing to hear it from me as the program director, and then it's another thing to hear it from our graduates. And so always trying to connect you with our graduates to talk with them about their experiences. And so appreciate both Sean and Ray joining us here today to talk about their experiences and the impact and what they see as the benefits for folks to apply. So I do want to go back. We have a couple minutes left, and I wanted to go back to something that I was saying to James earlier. So James, you were part of sort of an all virtual program, like we did it all through Zoom. So what do you think what would you want to say about that? What would you benefits, or, like how the impact? I mean, it sounds like when I hear you talk about being in the program, there's no, between in-person benefit, it's like the benefits are there. Right?
The benefits are there, and whether virtual or in person, that I don't really see as that mattering as much as it may be nicer in person to actually be able to see each other face to face, which
we're going to.
Which is definitely coming back. Either which way, whether virtual or in person, I promise you that the energy is infectious, especially when you're surrounded by others that want to do and that have that passion to want to do and grow and be better and do better. You can't help but to feel it, whether it's in person or not. So I'll say that because of where I was in life, because I was just coming fresh out the hospital because I had an injury, the virtual worked great for me because the ability to come back and forth to the city was not going to work. Yeah. But it was absolutely incredible, and I wouldn't have had it any other way. Because the people, the other veterans that were in my class were all in. Everybody was all in, and you couldn't help but to feel it. So it drove you to do more.
Yeah, it was really wonderful and amazing to me in terms of, I think there were a handful of folks who were in the cohort who I had met prior to COVID, prior to the shutdown, and I'd kind of met, but there were a handful of folks that I had never met. And it was amazing to me how really by the end of it, I felt like I knew everybody, and I felt like everybody had really connected and really supported one another. So for anyone who's listening or anyone who's thinking about applying, I would say that the CLCV-8 cohort, the plan is to start out virtual, and then we really have high hopes of going in person, but of course we're paying attention to what's happening, and we'll see like everybody else, we're going to see where that goes, but we're going to start out virtually and have high hopes of going in person at some point. So again, the program itself will run from July to November. Applications are due at the end of the month. So we have a couple minutes here. I don't know, James or Sean, if you have any last comments you want to make. I know you can probably hear my dog in the background who's telling me that it's time for me to let him out and take him outside. But any final comments, anything you want to say as we wrap up here?
I would just reinforce one of the things we already stated. If you're even mildly interested and this is a space you want to explore, take the leap of faith, absolutely do it. Having, obviously been a graduate, but also having supported 7 cohorts of graduates and had a lot of these conversations, I've never met any of them that said that the program wasn't worthwhile. The return on investment is going to be dependent on you in terms of how you perceive that value and what you want to do and how much you want to get out of it and take advantage of the opportunities that are presented to you. But to James's early point is want to have a passion to continue to give back and serve something greater than yourself. And if you've left military service and you're looking for that place to find it, this organization and program is one that is absolutely going to help you find that through exposing you to so many things that you probably didn't even know existed. I would never discourage anybody from not doing it. By all means, as Marie mentioned, if anybody has any questions of me or James or any other graduates, we're happy to give our experiences or sit down one-on-one and talk about it. I'd even encourage everybody still within the virtual environment, as James mentioned, still got all the benefit out of it. And even if when we return to a state of normal or a new normal, then join one of the recruiting events or one of the graduation events where you get the opportunity to network with previous graduates and those that are considering applying. So I can't speak highly enough of the program. I've gotten so much out of it over the past 7 years, as Marie has indicated, and it's the gift that keeps on giving. So I'm very fortunate that I was coerced into going through the program, and it was the best decision that military leader ever made for me. And I definitely encourage a lot of other high-speed individuals to go through the program to keep it going.
That's great. That's great. James, any
And-
last
and-
comments, any final comments before we sign off here?
Even to add on to what Sean was saying, the beauty of this course is that what you get into, what you put into it, you're definitely gonna get back out of it. And the course is set to make you have a deeper level of understanding, not just of the organizations or nonprofits or boards or anything like that, but a deeper level of how you do what you do, how you understand and how to best be a leader, not just to your other fellow veterans, but to an organization and how you can help them to innovate, to be better, to do better by its constituents. Whatever that is, it's going to help you be able to pick apart and better understand you as an individual, you as a leader, what it looks like for these organizations when they look at you and how you perceive them. Things that you just can't pick up by watching the news or a stock exchange or whatever it is that you're looking at when you're looking at these companies, because some of them may not be always on the news. Some of them may not always be on the headlines, but they're doing things and they're trying to help make areas or situations or people better. And if that's your passion, this is exactly where you need to be and get that level, that deeper level of understanding of self and where you're trying to go, and then a network to catapult you forward to heights unbeknown.
That's great. That's really great. Well, I want to thank both James Martin and Sean Ray for joining us here today. And just reminder that the Community Leadership Course for Veterans applications for CLCV 8 are available on our website, Leadership Pittsburgh Inc.'s website, and applications are due April 30th. And we're looking forward to receiving your applications. Again, if you have any questions, you want to reach out to us, please feel free. Happy to talk to you one-on-one about any questions that you have. So I want to thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.
Apply.
Thanks to you. Thanks so much. Take care.